Yo, it's Cash on the Hood with your host, Jason Sauer. I'm here with my main man, Steven Sickles, and we're just getting into this second episode with our great friend, Gerardo Castro from Monterrey, Mexico. So Gerardo was just telling us, if you're just catching us from the first episode with him, he was telling us how he got from Mexico to Chicago, and then he told us at the very end of that episode how after all that, getting a Social Security card, after all that, getting all those things, he got moved to Pittsburgh. Right?
Right. Yeah, so basically I only spent 3 months in Chicago trying to get the new life in there, but they told me, you need to move to Pittsburgh. And I was, okay, that's going to be difficult again. And here is where we get to a new stage of my life and of the story. I realized that if I just came with my wife and my child and my daughter to Pittsburgh, we will be facing the same story that we faced in Chicago. So having trouble finding where to live, find trouble what to eat or where to eat, because we didn't know anything about Pittsburgh by the time. And we already know that it's kind of difficult for us to find a place having been here only 3 months, because by that time my credit score was still none. I mean, it was new by that time, and I just get my first Discovery card, and it was at the same week when they told me that I need to come to Pittsburgh. So we take the decision to take a plane, put my wife and my daughter into that plane, and flew them back to Monterrey. So she can be in a school, and also they will be in a house. And I mean, to avoid any more issues and problems, to be just rolling from one Airbnb to another.
So they went back to familiar while you were just going into uncharted territories for the second time.
Exactly. Yeah. So I realized that would be the best way to do it, and also for my sanity, because I will not be in that case. At least I know they are with her parents, and at least they will be protected.
So had you already got rid of your house from Mexico at that point?
No, we still had the house. The thing is that house, we bought it, we never live in there. And it will be the same. It doesn't have anything, no beds, no, nothing there. And we bought the house to make a restoration of it. So we were constructing at the same time that we were here, and it was not ready for the people to live. So
she went back with her parents.
Yeah, I had to ask to my in-laws to allow us to be there.
Wow.
And then she flew back, and we put Sophia in school. Also, that's another different thing. Here, you start school at 5 years, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, back in Mexico, to the age of 3, they can start to go to kindergarten.
Okay.
So when we flew Sophia over Monterrey, she went to the kindergarten, and she was living a better life, because in Chicago we didn't know no one, and she was just talking to us, and she was becoming like a little adult, because the only people who can talk to her was my wife and me, no other children over there. So that was a good thing. I think that we took the best decision, even though it's kind of hard to just see them part, and I didn't know when they will be able to come back, or I will be able to come back to them. So I started all the paperwork to move to Pittsburgh, and as I told in last episode, I need to be. I was leaving Chicago on Friday, and I needed to be on Monday with all my stuff over there. So I made a deal with Ruben, and I told him, okay, this is gonna happen. I need to be in Pittsburgh this Monday. So I will fly to Pittsburgh Monday, spend a week over there, and I will come back to Chicago on that weekend, and I will need a favor from you. And he said, okay, what's the favor? I need you to rent a U-Haul for me because I don't have the credit to do it, and rent that U-Haul and drive me to Chicago, to Pittsburgh, because I don't know the roads. I can use Google Maps and that stuff, but I also was not able to drive the U-Haul because I didn't have a license here.
Oh, man.
I have my Mexican license, but I don't have a license here, and U-Haul didn't want me to drive it without a license from here.
That's tough.
Yeah, so he said, okay, that's fine, but I will need to... And I told him, okay, no problem. I pay you. I pay for that. And I will fly you back to Chicago because that's part of the package that the company gave me, because they are giving me some money to move my stuff. I mean, at the end, even all this trip that had its complications and stuff, my company backed me up on the steps. I think it could be better in the way that they should have a contact that can explain you how the things are here, but at least they are helping you on the money part. That is really, really important. And they didn't give up on us and help us to try to accomplish or to accomplish the things that we need to do here. So at the end, I paid Ruben, and it was like that. I just came to Pittsburgh. I contacted one of the coworkers, and he said, "Yeah, you can stay for the week on my apartment," and in that time, try to figure out where to live. And I was okay, that's fine. So another person from Mexico came as a first time here in Pittsburgh, also from the company. So there were now two persons that were looking for the apartment, and that helped me a lot. Because together I started scouting and figure out where to live. And in that moment, we realized that I had like the credit score, even though it was new, but he didn't. And in that moment, I didn't have money to put in an apartment. Because if I was trying to rent an apartment here, they will be me asking me like, I don't know, 1 or 2 months in advance, plus the security. And by that time that I already bought everything, I paid Ruben to bring my stuff. And I was paying the other apartment and paying my house in Mexico. So all the money ran out. And I was like, okay, let's do this, man. You put right now, the 2 months on the rent and the security, but put it on my name. So instead of being 3 months, it will be just 1 month because I already had the credit score. Mm-hmm. And we did that in the apartments. Actually, we end up living in City View the first year. That's how I get the apartment here in Pittsburgh. Otherwise, I don't know. I will be living on the streets.
Well, how soon before you were able to bring your wife and daughter? Yeah,
so I spent the first years on the City Views, and then I just moved again to downtown. By that time, I already feel confident. I already know how the things works here in the U.S. I know that there's a angle where I can buy grocery stores and that kind of stuff. So I tell my wife, you know what? Come here on vacations. Let's see how we can handle 2 months. And if it's possible, just stay here. Because right now, I already have an apartment. I already have the credit score. I already have everything that we need to live here. So she was like, okay, now comes the issue of the plane tickets because they are not that cheap. So I needed to do some savings. And at the end, I talked to my company and said, hey, can you bring my wife and my daughter back again? And they were like, how many times are they traveling? And just one? Yeah, sure, no problem. And I was like, awesome. So they buy the ticket for my wife and my daughter to come back to Pittsburgh, and I was able to get them again here. So then in that moment start another thing. All the vaccines that you need to have here are different from Mexico, at least in names, right? And we went to downtown to get the vaccines, and they were like, "Do you already have this one?" And I was like, "What's that?" We don't have it. So we had to be like using Google Traductor, trying to translate all the vaccines that they needed and input to Sophia. I think we have a difference of 6 vaccines. And they were like, "Okay, we're going to put all of them right now." So they put 6 vaccines to Sophia in the same day. And I was like, "Okay, but we need to have this because we want to put her in the school." So I had to investigate which school is the one that I want that I need to go, because actually in Mexico, right now they're changing again to the system, something similar like here. But back in Mexico, you can go to any school that you want. I mean, there was like some kind of systems that we can just do bypass and choose whatever we want, but not here. We need to go to the specific district. So I tried to investigate, and I end up going to Arsenal Elementary, and there's where I met Jason. His son, Rowdy, was in the same classroom that Sophia, and actually was his first friend in the U.S. So Sophia just made friends with Rowdy and another kid called Zach. So the 3 of them were like the very close friends, and was the first friends of Sophia here in the U.S. And in one part of this teacher meeting, I just met Jason, and he bring me to all this world.
Well, he told me he likes video, and I'm like, I love video.
Yeah, even though I work with the computers and doing more like testing or programming, something similar, one of my hobbies was to to work with special effects in computer special effects. I don't know. I do a lot of things in the computer. I go from even playing with servers and all the way up to do some videos, do graphics, web pages, and that kind of stuff.
You were running a paintball live stream when I first met you.
Yeah, I was. We do something similar that we have on Cash in the Hood. We were going to the paintball fields to record and interview and record all the plays over there. And we were giving news related to all the equipment, like all the markers and all the gear. And I was more close on the production than talking. And actually, when I met Jason and we start discussing this, I was like, "You're going to be the face. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in camera. I don't want to be talking." That's because, to be honest, I didn't like it at that time, right? So in paintball, actually, it was called Paintball TV. That was on Monterrey. I was on the back trying to do some production, direction, ideas on the content. Also, my friend Danielle was helping with that, and we created some videos together. Yeah, and also we have this section that we call like the poor man's paintball. Something similar back in Mexico. It's like in slang, something similar. So the section was like the poor man's paintball, where we were given tips on how to create some gear using stuff that you find in your house. Like for instance, we get a mask, right, for the paintball. And we realized that we get a lot of hits, but not in the face, but in the head, up in here. So you end up with like some horns over the head. So we realized that, okay, just take some foam, some fabric, and then you just put it like on a triangle, and you can use it here. All the paintballs are gonna bounce. I mean, it's against the rules if you are doing it
So
as a
you're a
professional.
cheater like Steven.
No.
Easy.
Well, maybe. I don't know. It's not shit if the rules doesn't say you cannot do it.
Amen.
Right? I mean,
Now you're talking Demolition Derby.
yeah, and actually, that's something that has come later. But if we're getting Demolition Derby into Mexico, we need to really find right the rules. Yes, because we have this. How can we say it? We have this custom. I mean, we are used to bypass the laws and the
So
rules.
you're saying you're going to push everything down.
Yeah, we have this creativity to try to bypass the rules. So we need to fine print all the rules if we bring the Derby into Mexico.
Beautiful thing of rules is this, the interpretation of the reader.
Right. It's it's like the law. The law is about interpretation, right? That's why we have these juries and that kind of stuff. So that's gonna happen. We already know. We already figure out how to bypass some of the rules on that we have right here.
Right.
So I bet that when we go back to Mexico, they want to know how to bypass some of the rules.
Well, we're going to take the most wanted class to Mexico is what Mike Tix wants to do. He wants to take us 3 down there and go have a derby.
And that would be awesome.
So
and
the cars in Mexico don't have airbags, first off. Most of them are just 2-seater hatchbacks.
They have, but it's a premium.
Easier on us.
Yeah, so they have, but it's a premium thing. So the entry-level cars doesn't have any airbags. So
it's your safety is on your own in Mexico.
You are responsible for yourself.
So what's your most common cars you see on the road? Say top 3.
Most common. We have the Volkswagen. It's Bora, I think here. Jetta.
Yeah, Jetta.
It's one of the most popular. I would say that the Nissan Sentra was another of the popular, but that's because we use them as taxis.
Oh, okay. So where we use the Crown Victorias, you guys use the Nissan Sentras.
Yeah, I mean, why you use a Crown Victoria as a taxi? They eat up gas.
Yeah, well,
they haul luggage and
fuel
comfortable.
didn't used to be as pricey as it is now.
Yeah, for us it's like, okay, if you're gonna be a taxi, save on your gas.
Well, you got a manufacturing plant there in Monterrey.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of manufacturing back in Mexico.
Well, which car?
In Monterrey right now there is Kia. They are manufacturing Kia over there. So we have a lot of Koreans going to Mexico. Actually, we already renamed one. Popular rename one of the sectors in Monterrey that we call I forgot, Pesqueria. The correct name is Pesqueria, and that name is related to when you go to fish, to fishing, right? Pescar. So right now, since all the Koreans are living there, we're renaming it Pesquerian.
Nice.
Because there's a lot of people from Korea over there, and they are even some of the transit signals. Now we changed it to have the Spanish and Korean.
Huh.
So they realize and they're welcoming the people over there, and they're trying to make the life easier for them.
Our signs at Home Depot are in English and in Spanish.
Yeah,
that's how I know. That's how I know where the bathroom's at.
Yeah, but so they're changing into Korean, so that's a good thing. So I don't think that we will have so much trouble to get the Derby down in Mexico.
You're a trooper. The first Derby I took you to, it rained.
Yeah,
and you sat through the whole rain. I took him to New Alex for the first time. We watched Steven Sickles out there.
Yeah.
And it rained.
It rained that night? How'd I do?
You probably won. Knowing you.
To be honest, I don't remember. I didn't know you.
Right. We were just, yeah.
You were just there for a good time.
Yeah, I talked him into it. I'm like, hey, you ever done anything with Demolition Derby? Let me show you how it's done. It's like paintball, but like with cars.
So is there
we should add the
down
paintball
there, or what's the venue?
The what, sorry?
Is there fairgrounds in Mexico, or?
No, not that much.
You guys don't have an annual... I know there's...
We have, but the thing is that we are... I mean, it's not disrespectful, but this Pittsburgh, we can look at it as a country town against Monterrey. Because Monterrey is really, really big. And even they have fairs, we don't have all this space to do this stuff. So all the fairs are more like
It's jammed together.
Yeah, jammed
Street fairs.
in the street fairs. Mostly like that.
That's what I was asking him. Like, where would we have this derby? Do you have rodeo arenas? And he says only the poor and the rich have horses in Mexico, so there's no rodeo arenas. I asked him if there was race car tracks, and he says there is race car tracks.
Yeah, we have one. The main race car that for the people, it have a quarter-mile track and it's an oval track over there, and they have events every other weekend. So it's
sounds
smooth.
like our spot.
Yeah, but it is racing mostly. We don't have derby on that, and
Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll have derby in the midfield, in between the races.
Yeah, and not yet. We don't have the demolition derby yet on Monterrey. And the thing is that it's funny because most of the cars that I saw in the last Most Wanted class are cars that we are still driving back in Mexico, because we have again this tradition of use the car until it cannot be used, right? So I know here in Pittsburgh we have the winter, so they need to salt all the streets, and that makes some issues, oxides in down the car, so you cannot drive it on that much, right? But last time I was here, we prepared a G3, a Pontiac G3, and it was and I was like, hey dude, that car is better than my car back in Monterrey, and you are just tearing it up for the derby. So we have this tradition of just drive everything until you cannot do it.
You guys don't have winter tread tires at all, do you?
No, well, we have all season, and that's it.
Yep.
Because there's no snow in Monterrey, and right now actually we have the struggle on the water because there was 3 years without real rains.
So we used to have a gentleman that would come to our garage and actually purchase tires that to us were at the wear bars and not suitable to drive in inclement weather. And they
Not that much.
They would send the tires down. I believe they went down to Puerto Rico, from my understanding, but I don't know. Is Mexico like that, where they're not as concerned until like cords?
Not that much, actually. Do
you have inspection in?
No.
Right?
Not in Monterrey. They have it in Mexico City.
Any type of emissions? Like, do you guys have a?
No, we were fine with emissions. With these last years, all the smog is accumulating, so we are more worried about it. Back in Mexico, they have a program that some specific numbers of the planes are not allowed to be driven in a specific days. So, if, I don't know, for instance, if you have a 7 in your plate, you are not able to drive that car on Tuesdays. And that way they reduce the emissions that on all the city. So they are trying to, they were talking and trying to implement that in Monterrey, but we are not allowed it. We are a car city, so everybody have a car, and car density there, I will say that there are maybe 3 cars per person.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why.
I thought Steven and I were ruining the curve, because Steven and I got like 10 plates each. We were like, that'd be 3 cars we wouldn't be able to drive on Tuesday.
Yeah. I'd have to line them up. Like, I'd look like the guy with the medicine pills with the different dates. I'd have my cars lined up.
Yeah.
There's your Tuesday's cars.
Yeah. Actually, maybe that's why we have a lot of cars over there. But as I told you, we drive it until we are not able to drive it. I'm not saying that we will not change the tires. I mean, we change the tire, we fix the suspension, we fix directions. The cars are working and are being driven because they were fixed. So the tradition in Mexico is fix everything.
Well, your last car that you wrecked was during a rainstorm.
Yeah.
And you hit a pole. Would you believe that the tires were the problem?
No. Was the brake?
Oh, you didn't have brakes?
No, I had more brake.
Oh, too many
but
brakes.
just in one wheel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was. That car experience was awesome at some time. I mean, at some point, because I realized how important it is to just check that the brakes are braking the same way in both. In this case, in both tires.
At what age do you start driving in Mexico?
You can start driving from 16.
16, so it's
Yeah, it's with a permit from your father. You don't need to have someone in the car, but your parent needs to go and sign for you.
that's very
That
similar to here.
Yeah. The only thing is that most of the people know how to drive at the age of 11 or 12.
From breaking the rules.
You know.
I heard you.
Yeah, it's basically for security. If something happens to me, I feel comfortable that, for instance, Sophia know how to drive to the hospital.
She can drive a standard.
I'm gonna teach her in the
Okay.
standard.
Let's say, isn't Mexico most of the car standards?
Yeah, they're changing right now. Actually, we are in this period where maybe we are now balanced between manual and automatic. But some years before, most of the people have manual. We start learning. Well, in my case, for instance, I started learning in a Chevrolet Dart K, in a Dart car of the '86, and I was learning in 2000. So I learned how to handle all the issues of having a bad clutch, speed gearing that is not working fine, and direction that sometimes get stuck and that kind of stuff.
Now, what did you say? What was your first car that you owned?
Basically, that was my first car,
was your first
the K. But
A Chevette? Is that what you said?
it's a Chevrolet.
A Chevrolet?
Yeah, that's the name on Monterrey, Chevrolet.
Okay.
So it's basically it's a Chevy Dart,
Chevy Dart.
DART. I'm not sure if it's the same name on here
I don't believe so.
because they changed the names. I don't know why they changed the names.
Small car?
No, it's like I don't know if there was a car here called New Yorker,
That's
New York?
Chrysler.
Chrysler. Yeah.
He's
Chrysler
got
and
all the
New
names
Yorker.
here. He went with Dart and a
Yeah,
Chevrolet.
Dart's Dodge normally.
Yeah, but in
But they
Mexico, a
changed since-
Chevrolet is a Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be googling this as soon as we're done.
Yeah, actually the name for your Sentras are named Surus in Mexico, and then we have Sentra, so they create two branches from one name.
So now, Jason, I never asked you this. I don't believe. What was your first car?
I started in the junkyard with a 66 Mercedes that they put a Chevy 350 in, but I never managed to get it on the road to school. So my next, really the car that I drove to school when I was 16 was an 86 LTD wagon.
So much cooler.
Straight six. It was so rad. It was oxidized. It was green and oxidized to a deep purple.
Well, 86 was that weird year. They weren't the real big ones. They were like a
Mid-size.
mid-size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my mom's a cake maker, so that was the cake delivering car. And one day I stole it and I drove it to Washington D.C. with a bunch of other kids who skipped school, and it made it there and back. I sold it to my uncle for $50, and he made it about 30 miles before it sucked some seals and that motor was done. So I ruined that car. My cousin and I would just take the car and then practice driving on roads, and then he would just throw the car in reverse at full speed just to see what would happen. And we really, really trashed that car. It was terrible. I feel bad for my mother.
I've done that with some junkers.
Yeah, because my mom would watch like her stories, and whenever her stories, just like my grandmother, whenever the stories were on, everyone had to be out of the house. I'm watching Days of Our Lives, but my mom would record it, so it was at night. So that was my hour to get the heck out of the house, and she wouldn't know. I would just take the car and
the balls off
I
of
would
it.
just try to jump it, because
So it was not your fault.
it came back with an empty gas tank and smoking.
I started off with a 1993 Ford Escort.
Oh, that's a good one.
Big timing.
Yeah, did it have a wing on it?
It has a small spoiler. Yeah, it was a two-door.
Yeah. I remember that car.
We traded $75 worth of parts out of our parts yard for that.
Nice.
It had a blown head gasket, and me and my dad redid that, and that was what I had.
Is that what you drove to high school then?
Unfortunately.
You still had a car to go to high school in. You didn't have to ride a bus.
Yeah, it was not a bad car. I mean,
No, it was just all my friends had stuff that was a lot nicer, and I'm there with the Escort. But at the same time, it instilled a lot of values in me because I wanted to have nicer, and I also had to work for it. That car even though my dad had traded the $75 worth of parts and he acquired it for me, I wasn't even allowed to drive it unless I had a job. So my parents were divorced. My mom wouldn't pay my insurance. She's like, listen, if you're going to get your license, you're going to drive. She's like, I'm going to get you a job. She had applications in for me on my 16th birthday before I even did.
Nice. That's what mothers did. They were ready to get us out of the house.
Yeah, she wanted rid of me, for sure.
That's for certain.
I was the good kid, too.
How many kids are in your... you got brothers and sisters?
Split household, so I have 2 on each side. I have 4 halves.
Yeah. Gerardo?
1 sister.
1 sister?
Yep. Older.
Mm-hmm. So you're the baby.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Do they think of you as the wild man in your home there in Mexico? Are you like wild because you took all this opportunity to go to America?
I don't know what's the opinion of them.
No,
to be honest, no, I don't know.
Do they not want you to be in America? They want you to be in Mexico the whole time?
Let's say that I was raised to not pay attention what my parents really want from me, but to do what I need and I want to do. So it's kind of different, I think, because what they care is that I'm okay. That's the only thing that they care. They don't, just to talk about the decision of what college I will get, what career I will get, my father is an accountant, and he said, I don't care what you want to be, what you want to study. Just do it and do it well.
Nice.
So that was the thing that they told me, and that is related for the whole life. My whole life is like that. I just informed them today. In this case, when I came to this weekend, I just tell her, okay, I'm going to Pittsburgh. That same day that we were waiting in the plane. So I'm kind of detached from my family in that way. It's just that they really don't care what I'm doing, just that I'm okay and I'm doing if I want it.
That's beautiful. Hey, man, I am so happy that we could have had you on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seriously, Steven and I have been looking forward to talking to you and hearing your story about coming to America and the difficulties. So that's the hustle and the art hustle and demolition derby. You had a lot of hustle, and I admire that. I mean, you came here to make a life for yourself and struggle, and you sent your family home, you know what I mean, for 2 years. That must have been an incredible struggle. So we're really lucky to have you back here in Pittsburgh, and we're very thankful that you made Steven look so good in the graphics. You saw Steven changed his profile picture to the graphic that you made of Steven.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, I like that you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, for the people that will be seeing or is seeing this video, you have some suggestion of the things that you really want to see in future episodes, or even information that you want to know about the derby, just let us know and we can work something. We can create some videos, some informatic videos about it, or cover more of the things that we are covering right now.
Yes.
So yeah, just this is created for the people. So
I agree.
Please give us the feedback.
Yeah, Steve and I travel a lot, so people who are listening from home, if you want to see Steven and I at your local fair, if you want to see Track Shot Live, Cash on the Hood, whatever, send us some messages. Send us messages from Crash on the Hood. I got to give a shout out to our man Brian Cottington and his Cinema Psycho podcast. He's near 300 or over 300 episodes by now, so he is a wonderful engineer making sure that we sound good, and I appreciate that. So it's a collaboration to make this Cash on the Hood happen. It's not, it's just not Steven and I. There's a lot of stuff happening here behind the scenes. Gerardo takes the video. So after we're done shooting here at StudioME in East Liberty, they send the audio file to Brian, and Brian puts it on all the audio platforms for us through his Libsyn, and then the video file then gets sent to Gerardo, where he puts all the cool graphics on it. So if you're listening to us, thank you again for listening to Cash on the Hood on all your audio platforms. And if you're watching us, thank you for Gerardo in advance for the graphics that you're seeing on the screen right now.
Yeah, I hope I can do something big with me.
Right? Yeah, I hope that you put like an idol like halo over your head
Something
or something.
like that.
Something very beautiful. Some of the cool props that we brought in today is Steven's championship belt, trophy cup. We got some art. We got the cash on the hood, plus we have a giant check that Steven won. So Steven is a consistent winner, and where Gerardo and I are just barely participating.
Yeah. Any advice?
Charge your battery.
Yeah. I mean, that is fixed. Hope so.
Yes.
We got the biggest battery Steven suggested.
Okay, perfect.
That shouldn't be the problem this time. So
and also, yesterday, 2 days ago, we just took out all the AZ.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tonight, protect your front end, your front suspension. That's going to be your ticket.
Okay. Yeah.
Radiator. You want to keep the car cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just drive in reverse, hit the front wheels of the other ones, and
Yep.
that's it.
Try that.
No fear.
No fear.
Yeah, you're going against some pretty small cars, so you should feel pretty good and comfortable in your giant Cadillac.
Yeah, and I was saying this is the first time that I'm going to be crashing intentionally, but not the first time I will be crashing. So
Right.
that's fine.
Right.
So you have some practice.
Yeah, I had some practice.
Well, we wish you great luck. Both of you run tonight at the Iron City Nationals, and so we'll see how it happens in the future episodes. So again, I appreciate everybody to listening all the way through. And if you did, please share this with your friends. Cash on the Hood is just a small podcast that we're trying to make a big podcast. So we're on every platform. You want to find us at mostwantedfineart.com, Most Wanted Fine Art on TikTok. Gerardo, where can they find you?
No word yet.
Cash on the Hood.
Yeah, just go through Cash on the Hood and you can leave message over there.
Mm-hmm.
I will be also uploading some of the content, maybe not all obviously related to the Demolition Derby, but not like the podcast. We're going to be diversifying, so you can see my work over there.
Yep, that's on the Most Wanted Fine Art on YouTube.
On YouTube.
You can catch Gerardo has a lot of stuff on that channel. And you can kind of see our past stuff. Steven's been a part of many projects for lots of years here. We love having Steven here. It's good having a champ here. Steven, where can they find you at?
On TikTok at Sickles911 or on other platforms, just my name, Steven Sickles.
Pretty cool. So I appreciate you guys being here. Salute Brian back there pushing all the buttons. Thank you again for listening, everybody. And we are super excited that you listen and follow us. That's really cool. Our numbers are great, and I can't be happier. So, Jason Sauer, thank you very much for Cash on the Hood podcast. Thank you, Gerardo. Thank you, Steven, for being a part of this. Thank you, Brian. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Thank you, everybody.